Christians say objective, and when they sort of want to, I guess, correlate objective with God,
Hmm.
what they're trying to say is that okay, God is a transcendental, is like transcendent being. He exists above nature. He's not he's not limited to nature,
What does
but
that
just
even
exists
mean?
as okay, as in like God is like in the Christian God basically is all powerful. He's all knowing. That's what that means in the Christian sense. I'm not Christian, by the way. I'm explaining the worldview.
I agree. Most Christians want to use the word objective to mean God and everything that emanates from God. And then
Yes.
subjective means everything else, right? So it's insane because they're just
Yeah, that's
contradict.
a fucking weird way to use language. That's just
Yeah.
fucking idiosyncratic
Well,
or
I mean,
it's
yeah,
something.
sure. It is a weird way to use language, but
but it's also
if you
inconsistent, right? It's also inconsistent on the way that they're using the words because they think the world has objective things in it because God exists and everything that emanates from God is objective. They then argue to you that everything you think is subjective, which makes no sense, right? Like, let me say it this way. They literally think the concept of justice is objective because it came from God's ass, right? But then they argue with you that your usage of the word justice is subjective. Why? That makes no sense. They're the ones trying to argue that justice is an objective thing, right?
it's
It's,
also just the idea that well, if you're going to claim the Christian God, then it's like okay, well, the Christian God is an agentic being, as in he has agency, he
mhm.
has personhood. So you can't say that a subject, as in a person, a conscious sort of being, doesn't have any sort of subjectivity, especially if like the if you want to even
Mhm.
like get into like the morality question, which is sometimes things they'll bring up, like
Mhm.
that the moral claims or any claims that he basically makes is yeah obviously is judged because he gets to arbitrarily decide it because no like because who else is he answering to other than himself in
Mhm.
that case.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, there's inconsistencies there. I mean, God has all kinds of inconsistencies because of the
I
all,
th-
all the definitions that are absolutes, and so they end up having contradictory circularity to them. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I think another problem with this objective subjective distinction is that the claims about the objective world is never divorced from your subjective perspective, which can lead to many problems that can be discussed.
I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
I think there is a relation between subject and objective to where to me yeah it yeah it's like yeah
You need
I think
subjective to
there's
get the objective, but objective is
yes
the opposite of subjective. So
yes like that's why it's a relational sort of thing because both mediate each other in that
mhm,
sort of regard because you
mhm.
can't have an objective world without some sort of subject comprehending it. Otherwise you fall into a circular argument of I know the objective world to be true because of its objectivity
Yeah,
somehow that's circular.
but those are different those are different words and typically different definitions. If you take the definition that everything stated by a subjective observer is automatically subjective, then you would be right that there'd be a circularity there. But normally, the
Yes.
word subject and the word subjective don't have anything to do with each other. A subject is simply a conscious being or person or whatever that's able to take in sensory information and make statements about the world that may or may not comport with reality. Who the hell knows, right? The word subjective simply means whether or not the statement they're making is based on their personal opinion or was based on evidence that they gathered from the real world, right? That's the difference between the two. So you don't get a circularity or contradiction there if you separate the definition of subjective versus a subject, right?
The way I think of it, Bobby, is where did the information originate? If it originated in the person, it's subjective. If it originated outside the person, it's objective.
Yeah,
well,
but
hold on.
then
For someone to claim that their information originated outside of them
mhm.
directly requires their subjective qualia. That's the problem.
No,
No, but
no,
that still
because
makes it
if
objective.
no, but if you go with that
No,
definition, then
if
some
you assume that he's telling the truth, if you take it on base assumption, then yeah, but that's the thing you're questioning, and that's what the hard problem of solipsism is. I know you guys don't like that. I'm just telling.
Sure, there's a hard problem of solipsism, right? But that's why the word objective and subjective are not used in reference to that. Because if they were, then you would end up with exactly this type of issue. Because if you say, well, everything that originates from the mind of a subject is subjective, well, then you're stuck in a catch 22. Because how do you know that there's anything that originates about any statement you make about the real world that didn't originate from your own brain or
Yeah.
your own facilities, right? Like, that doesn't, that's not a, that's basically going to create meaningless vocabulary, and I'm 100% against meaningless vocabulary. When you tell me objective is a thing with zero things in it, I don't care. That seems silly to me.